Guys, welcome back to another episode of Always Making. Thanks for joining us again. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm Derek.
I'm Christy.
We are joined in the studio with Shelby and Courtney, mother-daughter duo at Craft Lake City that we first met, DIY Fest that we first met you guys. Whoa, I bought a camera from you 4 years ago, I think was the first.
Yeah, probably.
I think that was the first camera interaction we had. But we're going to get into their whole backstory and everything that they do and why they're cool creators, makers in this space. But before we do, we got a little bit of housekeeping. I already forgot the dates that Christy told me.
We are going to be at the SLC Punk Rock Flea on June 22nd. And then we're going to be up at BCC Brighton Canyon, or Brighton, Big Cottonwood Canyon, June 29th and July 13th.
And we are, again, if we mentioned it in the last episode, but we are accepted into Craft Lake City's DIY Fest, and that is August
8th, 9th, and 10th, I think.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I can mostly confirm
and then
that.
Also, our guests are also accepted into Craft Lake City this year as well. How many years have you guys been doing Craft Lake City?
DIY Fest.
DIY Fest, Craft Lake City's DIY Fest. I always do that.
I think
This is
I've
Shelby's 5th year.
done 5. I did just Sunday by myself the first time, and then we applied and we share a booth, and we've shared a booth since.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you bought a camera on my maiden
First.
voyage.
Wow.
okay, we already jumped into it. I want to make sure we give you guys a proper introduction. Shelby, Courtney, please introduce your guys' what you guys do. Introduce yourselves, and we'll get into this fun conversation. That was all our housekeeping. Yeah, so we'll get into this conversation about what you guys are doing and how awesome you guys are for the community.
Me first?
You first.
Okay, well, I've been an artist my whole life, mostly influenced from this lovely lady here, because she's been an artist her whole life, and I unknowingly followed so many of her steps. I was like, hey, Mom, I want to make paper, and she's like, I've got the supplies for you. Hey, I want to do printmaking. I've got the supplies for you. And then COVID hit, and I think where, a lot of people started their small business, I just did art 24/7. That was all I did. I had stacks and stacks of it, and then I was like, I guess I'll make an Instagram for it or something, and then started an Instagram, and that turned out, pretty okay at first. I was a little bit slow and just posting for fun, and then decided to start selling and met some other creators, and I actually worked at Clever Octopus for a couple years.
I'm so sad that
So sad.
I'm so heartbroken. Still to this day, I'm like, I could get that at Clever Octopus.
I
and not
literally
anymore.
discovered that place, I think maybe 2 months before they closed, 3 months before, and I'm like, this is the cool, Christy, you have to check out this place. And I drove there and then checked it out, and then I'm like, Christy, I came home, I'm like, Christy, we got to go back. And so we went back
the same day.
I'm like, this place was amazing. And then a month or two later, we're shutting down. I'm like,
Very sad.
oh no.
It broke my heart because that is actually how I got the first DIY Fest. I can't even remember who it was. I don't know if they worked for Craft Lake City, but applications had closed. It was maybe a month away, and I wanted to find out how to do it. And they're like, just email this person, ask for Sunday only, it might work out. And it totally did. So that's how I got my first Craft Lake City gig. I met so many other creators through just working there, because creators are coming in all the time there. And then just kept doing markets, and then I started doing workshops, which I absolutely fell in love with. Educating is probably heavily going to be the direction that I go in from here on out. And then I really delved into printmaking, which just sucked me in all the way. It's such a wide umbrella too, because I just had this insatiable appetite to want to try everything. So I did jewelry, I did sewing, I did painting, I did anything you could name, and it was a little overwhelming. So then I found printmaking, where there's relief print, intaglio, screen printing, cyanotypes. And so we went to the LA printer fair, and I just got sucked in ever since, and that's basically what I've been doing.
So
and then we've been sharing a booth too.
Courtney, so you inspired Shelby. How has your art journey, how did that all start for you?
I have always loved paper. My grandma worked at a place called the Green Sheet, which the older folks in the audience may know. It was like the Big Nickel, but also you won't know what the Big Nickel is unless you're older. So it was I think just a local printing company, and they printed a small newspaper. I don't even know if it was like want ads or what on, but the paper was green. So it was called the Green Sheet. And she had a whole dresser full of paper scraps that she had brought from home from her job. And I spent hours at her house just like cutting out an entire place setting and all the P's, like everything. So I've just loved paper my whole life. I spent a lot of time teaching myself how to do origami. My mom recently asked me if I still had this origami thing I had made. I had folded an origami farm and submitted it to the state fair in middle school, I think, and won a third place ribbon.
That's
So
amazing.
paper's just been a thing for me. I did one time, I think in grade school, my mom had brought home, also for the older people in the audience, wallpaper sample books.
Yeah,
And
I've
I
got
used
some
those.
wallpaper
Yep.
samples down. Under
I
here, guys, yeah.
loved making like origami because the paper is more substantial, so you could do things with origami, like make boxes, like nesting boxes and stuff, and they just held their form way better. And then I used that to do book binding, because again, it was like a little bit heavier weight for the cover. So I've been doing that stuff honestly since probably grade school or junior high. In my 20s, I was living in Seattle making paper and doing book
same path.
binding and selling stuff at markets. So yeah, she really has done a lot of things that I did at the same time without knowing that those were things that I had already done. And recently I've been collecting vintage letterpress. You know, I love
Yeah.
letterpress. I love these kind of analog things for creation. So letterpress, analog cameras, vintage office supplies. I love the things where you are engaged in the whole experience of making the thing, and the smells and sounds and textures and all of those kinds of things. So recently I haven't been doing as much making. I've really enjoyed supporting Shelby in what she's doing, and I love going to the markets and just engaging with people. It's so fun, and having conversations and watching them share ideas and different things like that. And I've recently just been thinking that I need to get back into making some stuff. I currently work in IT, so it feels like a kind of a contrast. But I also feel like there's some interesting kind of creation things, because even though I feel like I'm kind of not a messy artist, I'm kind of very detailed and organized in the things that I do. So being a project manager in IT and doing those things, and loving typography and layout, so it's kind of creative, but like I like it to be very organized.
Yeah, in a very clean way, and I
So
can
I
totally
really enjoy
understand
that.
Yeah.
That's where we're a little different.
Yeah.
I'm a really messy artist.
I think me and Christy have a very similar, like, she's very technical. There's all these notes, there's all these things, and I go, you know what? Let's just take the saw and cut it and see what happens. And you got to vibe with it. You got to get that feeling of how this happens. Sometimes, like, the best things come from mistakes, and so you don't know how it's gonna all land.
That's true.
Well, like we were saying, like literally before we started recording, you're more of the like, don't measure, cut 5 times. And I'm like, nope, measure twice, cut once.
Yep, and that is me too. So that's interesting, because Shelby and I don't even know if.
I'll just cut 1,000,000 times till I'm most of the way there, and it's call it good.
Do you
But then you
have
stumble-
a ruler? Like,
I actually have a really big stash. Do I use them all the time?
so
No.
I think I have the same problem. I think I have multiple rulers, multiple measuring devices, multiple like actual like French curves and protractors and all these things. They're just sitting in a pile. Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
like,
have them all and I use them all and I love them so much.
I think that's part of the thing that I really enjoy about origami is the precision with the folding and the creasing and
Yeah.
the tucking.
yeah, because as soon as you miss a fold, the whole thing's basically shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting duo dynamic. So we have an 18-month-old where she's down here with us creating when we're creating and making messes and everything. When Shelby was younger, were you pushing an influence of art on her, or was that just a natural thing that was happening because you were so involved in it?
That is the fiber of Shelby's being.
I I think she was in mom mode for a while, so she wasn't creating as much. And one day in high school, she painted watercolors with me, and I literally cried. I was like, yes, she's making art with me. And like, that was just one of the best days ever. So I mean,
was in mom mode for a long time. I felt like as a parent, it's important to observe the things that your kids gravitate toward and then support them in those things. I think there can be value in helping them like understand that what it's like to be in a team, and once you make a commitment to these things, you need to follow it through. I'm not going to make you like do it for the rest of your life, but you've made this commitment, so let's follow through. But I tried as a parent to foster and grow the things that they seem to have a passion for, and just support them in that. And I also think watching them and them being messy, I was a lot more of a clean freak, perfectionist, organized person. And I think having the kids and then subsequently a very furry cat helped me sort of be less OCD about some things and kind of let things be.
You absolutely fostered it. Like one time, one of my favorite memories, I used her old art desk, the one she had when she was in her 20s. That got passed down to me. And I had like my whole wall set up, like pictures or whatever. And I came home one day and there was a picture of these watercolor brushes set that I wanted so bad. And I didn't even notice it at first. It was just a picture of it hanging. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then another day I came home and the actual brush set was sitting on my wall because she got it for me. And so I feel like she fostered it in such like a nonchalant way where like it wasn't her forcing it at all. It was like subconsciously seeped into me and her support.
We don't want to force Juniper to follow our arts, but also she better follow our arts.
But it is all around. Like we have supplies literally everywhere, and she already has started. Like we have a drawer, desk upstairs and a drawer with like art supplies in it, and she loves going to that drawer and just like pulling crayons out and like naming the colors or like markers, coloring books, whatever. So I think it's just like it's there, it's available.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's in you, so it's kind of that natural thing to kind of flow in. But what I want to kind of talk about a little bit, because the interesting thing that clicked as we kind of got the backstory a little bit. You were doing shows in Seattle. Mm-hmm. I don't want to date you or anything in that.
A while ago. Maybe the grunge area.
But now you're doing shows now. How different of a feel was it for you to go from that time to now and kind of see the art culture at that point?
So not having technology, not even cell phones, applying to shows, doing all like the logistical coordination was very, very different. There was a lot more. I felt like you kind of had to plan ahead of time. You had to look around to where shows were. Networking was kind of also a big deal, which it still is. The thing that I've really enjoyed watching Shelby and also going to this show and the LA show that we go to is I love the support that the vendors have for each other.
Yeah.
It's so heartwarming to see, because you can also be in situations where people are going to be like cutthroat about it because, oh, you're stealing my idea or you're stealing my customers or not. And I feel like we really haven't experienced that a ton. There have been a couple of people and they have kind of fallen away, or Shelby's decided that's not the energy that she wants in her life. But I just have loved seeing people support each other and say, how did you do that? Like just a learning environment
and want to share their information.
Yes.
Not like
I think it's so amazing.
Yeah, that is the thing we love about the art community, and we've discussed this plenty of times. Mm-hmm. The artists that are so tight about how they do their things and not wanting to be part of the community are not the artists we want to see in the community. We want to see everybody. We talk about this. There's enough pie for everybody. Like
there's room at the table for everyone.
Yeah, I get them all wrong, but eventually one of these episodes I'll say one of the idioms right. But it is one of those things, and it as artists we are fearful because we don't know when sometimes the starving artist idea is going to be the thing that we are dealing with and trying to survive. and like, oh man, he's taking from my table. But its reality is we all can get better by supporting each other.
Agreed.
Your first show that you did, what was that experience like for you? If you can recall, I know you've done.
I also had a very small child at the time.
Okay.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and I'm like, I was in my basement like this, like making paper and sewing bindings on cards and doing all of these kinds of things. But I felt like it's kind of empowering. I feel like it's mixed, right? Because all of those, you like have a piece of yourself out there, and do people like it or not? And I've seen this a couple of times with Shelby, where you might be a little bit sad that something hasn't sold yet that you've put a lot of energy into, and then the right person just comes along, and it went to the right home.
Yeah. Found the right person.
Yeah.
Shelby, you decided to do your first show solo. So the duo that you guys are came after you doing your first show.
Yeah.
What was the decision to say, hey, I'm going to start doing that? I'm going to start doing shows. Was it the hoarding factor? Because we've talked to other artists, and it's like, I've got too much stuff. I need to figure out like how to get rid of it.
It was definitely part of it. It was my wild experiment phase. It wasn't actually Craft Lake City. It was called Upstart. It was in a building near Pioneer Park downtown, and it was so small. There was like maybe 15 people there, and I don't actually know. I think I just, hey, why not? Let's try it, see if someone else likes it, because I had some good feedback on Instagram. You know, at the time it was mostly like friends and family from people who knew me, but then it started to grow more, and so then I was like, yeah, why not? You know, I've got a giant pile of all this ridiculous art, and I was extremely nervous. Like, that was much more vulnerable position to be in, because like none of my friends in high school knew that I was an artist. I was just holed up in my bedroom making art by myself, and like it was still kind of a weird thing to be like an artsy kid. So I hadn't really shared that with very many people, so to like offer that for people to spend their money on to buy my creations was definitely scary. But I think at the end of the market, I was like, it was a whirlwind, and I was just so stoked that anyone wanted to buy anything that I made. So
the first show went good.
It went, I think so.
I think that show went really well.
I think it went
for
well.
that location. Her first show was the best. I think, of that particular market.
It's when I got to talk to people in person.
Yeah.
And like at some points, you know, maybe I wasn't actually selling or like making money, but I got to talk to people who were excited to talk to me about my process, and like, oh, how did you do this? Or like, oh, I've made something similar to that. And like just being able to talk to people about it, I realized that there was a community out there for me to join.
Yeah.
Not just me by myself in my bedroom painting all alone.
It's awesome to see a generation like yours at a younger age go through high school and go, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there. Creating Paisley was another guest we had on here. She did her first show at 15. And it's like, at 15, there's no way I would have had the confidence to put anything I was doing. I think at 15, that was freshman year of high school, right? Roughly.
Like freshman, sophomore, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing fashion technology stuff and drawing like I can't think of the forms. Croquis, thank you. And drawing those, and I'm like, I suck as an artist. I
say mine still come out terrible, and I've been doing it for years.
And I'm like thinking, like, there's no way. But so at 15, I could never think I would be able to do something like that. So at, again, high school age, to be able to have the confidence to step out there and just, again, like you say, be vulnerable and have a success. And so now we're talking, we're 5 years into doing shows for you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
How has that, like, scariness changed for you?
Well, I certainly am not afraid to talk to other people. I also have like some mad social anxiety, so it just made it really rough, and it was scary. But then once I found out that people wanted to talk to me, like, I have no problem with talking to anyone at a market now.
Yeah.
I think I do feel a little bit nervous teaching a workshop still. not as nervous as I used to be, because like, you know, I want people to get something good out of this, not just in that moment, make something in that moment, but like learn that they are creative as well. Because the amount of people who are like, oh, I'm not creative, I'm like, that's some baloney, let me show you. And I want them to get a skill that they can take home. And so I think I still feel a little nerve there, and like wanting to make quality lessons for people. But I can talk to almost anyone now, especially at a market.
Yeah, I feel kind of the same way. Like I get nervous too in like other social situations, but I feel like there's something about being at a market when you're just like, these people are here to like buy art from artists. So like, you know, it's kind of like they're already motivated to like be there and have interest. So yeah, I get that.
I think I've accepted that like not everyone's going to want it. You know, some people are going to walk up and be like, oh, $30 for a print? That's insane. If people want it, they're going to buy it. If people want to talk to you, they're going to talk to you. If not, they're going to move on with their life. You're going to move on with your life. So like I'm much more capable of accepting that now.
Yeah, for me, I've always had this very like, hey, I'm doing everything I'm doing for myself. And so when I'm at these markets and I'm at these things, it's the okay factor that there's people walking by and like not buying stuff. And because it's for me, I'm happy being in this booth and selling absolutely nothing because I did it. I proved to myself that I can do these things. But what's so cool is when you get the people that come through that are the people that, you know, hey, I want to support these, like what you're doing. And like, oh, that resonated with somebody. I like some of the stuff. I'm like, I don't know if this is actually going to be like something that like I love it kind of thing. But like is other people. And then it's like, oh my God, that's sold out. Like, whoa, that doesn't make any sense kind of thing. There's 3 pieces I have right now that were the first 6 months of Juniper's life where I was drawing stuff that was inspiring. The first night she was born, it's like, it's one of the pieces. And people, it resonates to people differently. And I love the people's reactions that they see it because they go, that is so cool. And I'm like, this means something to me. It means something totally different to you, but it's resonating with you in a way that I'm like, cool. I'm glad you're loving it kind of thing. So that kind of stuff is super fun for shows. How do we go? This is the conversation always gets twisted around and everything with these podcasts because I never know sometimes how this all is all going to go, not knowing your guys' backgrounds. But I not knowing how in depth you were with your art background, I don't see any of your art at shows. I see all your collections at shows. So to know that you've been like hands-on with so much stuff, that's so cool. I want to see your stuff come out.
I don't.
The whole world
actually,
does.
I work in IT now, but I also did graphic design for about 10 years. I like part of my love with the letterpress is typography. I love typography.
Yeah,
it's just,
they were some of my favorite classes in college.
It's so amazing to me. It makes it really difficult to see stupid typography out in the world, right? So I feel like I'm in a space now where both of the kids aren't at home and they're like out forging their own lives, and I've just been getting like inching closer to these things that I want to do. There's a press that I bought from this guy I can't remember where it's called the Provisional Press. So it's a laser cut wood one that they started making. He's a print teacher at a university somewhere, and his students over COVID didn't have accessibility. So he came up with this small, it looks like a proofing press that they could use, and then they started selling them. I was like, I want that. I haven't printed on anything on it. Shelby printed a couple of things, so but I'm slowly getting back. And for me, it'll probably be like book arts, paper arts, different things like that. That's just what I love. Of the collections that I have, like those linen postcards, I have an idea to do some embroidery on those. So sort of upcycling some of the vintage things that I like. But I just love paper, and letters.
Yeah. So are we going to see at this Craft Lake, this next DIY Fest, are we going to see
I do
some of
have
those?
time, I
You
guess.
can do it. You've done a couple things. You've had a couple of your own creations. I think that they're just sprinkled in with like collectible things
Yeah.
that maybe you don't.
It's hard to like
Yeah.
kind of
spot
decipher
them
some
as
of it.
much.
Yeah.
I don't think I did so I had done some paper flowers bouquets out of vintage book pages.
You had the folded pages in the books as well.
Yes, I had those. I did put some embroidered vintage photos on some other like small moleskin type notebooks.
I think you should
So-
come out with some like letterpress.
I would love to do when we go to the LA printers fair. The guest speaker that they had last time is this woman who does this amazing. She creates books that are like short series. I don't even know how big the runs are, like less than 100, and they're like in the
Very
Smithsonian
limited.
and all of these. I mean,
It's
just
crazy.
like amazing pieces of art that are books. So like I aspire to one day be a book artist and do like tunnel books, like upcycling again vintage kinds of things, because I think it's sad to me for those things to just be cast off and thrown away.
Yeah.
Because they're the quality in the craftsmanship and creating things in days gone by, like we just don't see that as much, and I love it.
Yeah, it is a mass production world that we're in, where the volume and how to keep costs low, where I look, because like we talking about some of the older stuff. I've built a few Schwinn bikes in my past, but like I love their advertisements. I think there's one behind me up here. Yeah, you can actually see off camera. There's a Schwinn
Little
tag from one of the bikes that I have in there, and I collect some of those pieces from some of those older things, because it is a thing that you don't get anymore, like Kodak brochures for older cameras. I love all the boxes. If I could keep all the Kodak boxes of
Right?
the vintage cameras, there's like, they take up so much space, but there's such cool
Yeah.
like art on them and design on them that like you just don't kind of get anymore. And like you buy, like I've bought cameras nowadays brand new to the year, and it's just a gray box with a logo and text, and you go, where's the fun in that? That's not like, there's a couple camera companies that try to do some stuff, but it's never the same like depth of like what it was, kind of thing. So I understand that kind of time to create and build something with it. What you're doing, Shelby, is in the same vein. You've got such a large variety of things that you're creating with the lino cuts and your printmaking and everything. A lot of it takes a lot of time and hand done for your stuff, so you don't have a large volume when you're at these shows. We noticed some of your stuff, you have like just a few pieces, and they're very limited on what you're doing. What is the thing you like doing the most right now?
I just got into cyanotypes.
Okay.
I just finished at school and know that I wanted to print about a bajillion transparent images, since I can't do that at home right now. I printed like 40 of them, so I'm just going through and like experimenting with cyanotypes. I actually kind of took a break from my business for the past year, because I was just finishing some school and some other stuff. And I also want to make some shifts in my business. Like I said, I want to just lean more towards education, because every time I finish teaching a class, I just feel like I made a little good impression on the world to help someone else like feel empowered in their own creativity. And so I actually want to start making printmaking kits, because I enjoy my own printmaking and making for myself. I just finished a David Bowie print the other day, which was pretty fun. But I also just want to give people the power to make their own creative choices and like make that print on the world. So I'm working on designing and getting everything like that prepped. Hopefully I'll have a couple of those things ready for the DIY Fest.
Nice.
Very cool. And where does your inspiration come from for a lot of your personal art?
Music is a really big one. David Bowie. I have a Led Zeppelin print. That one was like one of my favorites to carve ever. Just my own imagination. It's wild in my brain. Lots of flowers and funky portraits of people. Most people tell me that all the portraits look like me, so it's just kind of some other version of me.
There's definitely a hint of self-portraiture in a lot of them.
Yeah, pop culture. I've had some Star Wars on my brain and all that fun sci-fi that you guys are also into.
Yeah, we're nerds. It's okay.
I'm a hardcore nerd. I wasn't as much a nerd, but my boyfriend's a big nerd, so I watched every Marvel movie thanks to him, every Star Wars thanks to him, every you name it. I watched it because of him, so he's also a pretty big inspiration.
So he's a good influence. That's what
Definitely.
you're saying.
Big time.
Yeah, the things around us that inspire us. I mean, it's very heavy in the nerdum, but I mean, it is. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes when it comes to like the art and how you create. And as you develop and grow, your styles, I feel mine change pretty like rapidly through different things that get influenced. And the cyanotype, I have the chemicals over there to do it. I have transparency. I tried on our exposure table for screen printing. I was like, can I do it this way? And I couldn't dial it in the way. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to try it out in the sun. I just haven't gotten back to try it. But it's the fun side of photography that like that whole aspect. So I love screen printing is the emulsion and like getting that photo exposure right. And with cyanotypes and all the other different versions, it's such a fun thing. I go, I can take this thing that I've been doing for like 20 some years and I can now try different applications with it, kind of stuff. Do you see yourself like looking to new techniques, new stuff in the future? Or is there something that you're trying to get to and try out, or is it right now your biggest focus is like making like educational kits?
I will probably never stop trying new things. I actually, my first cyanotype, I can't even remember. We were in Colorado, went to Pearl Street, and I got like a pre-treated kit of cyanotype paper. I didn't touch that for several years. And then I pulled it out like a couple years ago and tried it. And I was like, oh, I really like this. And then put it down for a couple years. And then like they got the chemical mix because I didn't want pre-treated paper anymore. I wanted something bigger and better and more unique. So then at Blick they got like the 2-part chemical. So I got that, held on to it for a couple months, didn't touch it, just pulled it out. Didn't have transparency sheets, so I put it down for a while. So nothing in particular. Probably just keep testing the waters. It'll most likely stay in the realm of printmaking. Like my heart is sold on printmaking. I would love to be able to work with letterpress at some point, because I'm probably not as into typography in the same way that you are, but I love typography as well. I just finished my graphic design degree, so type and layout was my favorite class. But that's, like I don't have a big press. I don't have the letter press to be able to do that. But that will also be in the realm.
One day we're going to collaborate.
One day. That would be great. I would love that.
I imagine us doing like some kind of short run of a letterpress book, like a small zine size. And then Shelby doing some kind of probably illustrations with block printing or something like that. One day we'll do that.
We're ready for it.
Zines are also really in my realm right now.
I want to talk about your collaboration because you guys do the booth together at shows. Is that for all your guys' shows that you guys like that you're doing, Courtney? I guess it's all the stuff you're doing. Is it collabed or shared?
It originally started out because I guess I don't really know why I started out. So she did the first year she did the Sunday and it was the half booth size. It was just right.
No, it was a 10 by 10 space.
But to do the show the next year, the full booth size by herself was just like way out of her price range.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, well, I have some crap at home.
So the hoarding aspect came into play as well. And so it was like, I have too
the
much.
hoarding got way out of control after the first year.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So initially I feel like we did that. I supported her in being able to, like, that helped enable her to be able to participate in the show the whole time. And then It was tons of fun, so let's do it again.
And although we have, like, she's got major vintage vibe, I've got really bright hot pink color vibe.
The booth is split pretty
It's
like down the
split.
center of like what's there kind of thing.
But I love that, like, I'm on one side, she's on other, but that back middle table, you can't tell, but there's an overlap. There's a blend
is.
of our stuff
Yeah.
that actually works really well together.
Yeah.
And so, like, we maybe have totally opposite people coming to check it out, but at the same time, like, we have very similar people coming to check it out that enjoy both of the very different vibes that we have going on.
How much prep do you guys do before a show to like make sure your vibes are kind of like vibing?
As little as
Nothing.
possible.
She's like, I'll see you down there.
Nothing. Yeah.
You guys just kind of show up, your table set up. Okay, cool. I'm going to set up my table, and it just kind of works.
We usually go indoors, which luckily means we get to set up the day before. So we just spend, I don't know, like sometimes like 3 or 4 hours there.
Yeah.
Trying to get it close enough. And when you've done it for 4 years, like, you know, you kind of have a taste of what it's going to look like. So it's not like brand new every year.
Yeah. So we don't coordinate.
No.
The first show you guys did together, did you guys kind of have discussions on how it was going to go for you guys? Or
No. I don't know. Like part of the way our relationship is we kind of just have this way of like
Molding.
working like in this just kind of like dance sort of situation. Like we aren't bumping into each other, or I don't know. It
there's
just
no conflict.
No, it
Yeah.
just really works out.
Yeah.
I feel like
I don't think we've really ever had conflict in like any part of our lives.
there were
Okay.
a couple, there were
Okay. Teenage years,
there were
maybe a bit
couple of years
different.
there, but yeah, it just seems like we just have a flow that it just really works out.
We're like simultaneously doing it together, but also like kind of on our own.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, it's really fun. I just really enjoy having this thing that we do together.
So you're doing 3 shows a year, right? You're doing the holiday market, you're doing DIY Fest, and you're doing
So last year we didn't do the holiday show.
Okay.
Because they didn't have a shared booth that didn't look like on their.
on the options and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but traditionally, kind of like I guess last year not, but you are also doing the letter or the printing
Mhm.
expo
And
together as well. So, but you're doing way more shows, right?
I did.
Okay.
I took a major break
Yeah.
because at the end of 2023, I had 3 advanced design classes. Finals week, that same week, I had 3 markets. 2 of them were in person. And then I traveled to Spain for a month and a half, and I got home, and I was like, whew, okay.
Time for a break.
I'm done for now. So, and it's been like a year and a half. And so I was just finishing up school, and I just graduated last month. And so now I'm getting back into it, trying to decide what direction to go.
So, are you guys looking to do more shows now? Because you sound like you're enjoying it more and more and more as you're getting more free time with having to do less with the kids. The creative.
Not. I don't know if it's. Adult children are just different.
We still see you
A lot. I think what I would look to do now is for myself is doing more creating, and then I have so much stuff. Like I just need to have an Etsy shop, and it's weird because like the shows are intimidating, but doing an Etsy shop is also very intimidating, and I feel like I get I like perfection myself out of doing it. It's like the photos all have to look just right. And then
Yeah.
I have to write the descriptions and the keywords have to be just right. Granted, I haven't posted a single thing. So it's all just like hypothetical,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
No, it's a
really,
lot of
it
work.
feels really intimidating.
It can be very intimidating, and the biggest thing I everybody out there that we try to just start.
Mhm.
Just get started. It is crazy because as soon as it starts, the system starts to work in your advantage in that sense where you go, okay, I know how I'm gonna start doing my photos. I know how
You get your
and-
process,
yeah.
and then you can start batching. And so it's like, well, I'm not doing one at a time. I'm doing like, okay, these 10 things are all kind of the same size and rough shape, so I can set up one photo, like,
Mhm.
you know, set up for these and just photo all of them and then edit all those photos and then, do all the listings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Because I've had friends that I'm like, just get on there, put your art up there and go. And it's like, they would have never done it. They do it. And all of a sudden it's like their first thing sells in a week. And they're like, oh my God. I'm like, they're shipping something to Canada. I'm like, now you have someone in Canada who has your piece of art kind of thing. And now it's like, hey, the next person finds you. And then now they're like, okay, I need to like put these things out and start creating and doing it. And it's like, I can do bigger projects because I'm now getting funding to do this stuff. So it's not for everybody. That's one of those like realities of like, it is a lot of work, but to just start and see where it goes, like that's the biggest regret you're gonna have is not doing it. Because
and one of my other like incentives to do it, and the money that I've made from the show is like, I just want to use that to like fund my travel.
yeah,
So I'm not doing it to like supplement my income. Like,
yeah,
oh, good, now I'm gonna have this money and I'm gonna go to
well, I think
Amsterdam in whenever. So
it's every show that we have that you're there and go, if it's a good show, I'll be back and I'm gonna buy this camera kind of thing. I'm like, oh, it was a good show. So it's like every show that we do it's just to kind of help, like, hey, I've got some extra spending money to go do some fun stuff kind of thing. And so that's it helps us with our cost of everything, but we also have other outlets or incomes, I guess, not outlets, but that help fund like our regular bills and everything.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is hard where it is your everyday life that like you have to survive off of it, but being able to do both and live in both worlds kind of does make it a little bit easier for that. But going forward, like same thing, Shelby, are you looking to crank up those shows now and kind of push that business side of what you're doing for this next a couple years coming, or is there like the workshops? We haven't even got into the talking about workshops as well with you, but there is that another thing, adding more workshops to the schedule and kind of dialing those in.
Yeah, I have so many ideas. I would love to get a trailer and like just don't have to set up a booth, teach out of that, do markets out of that. Markets, yes. I also feel like I should probably do a bit more of an online presence because I feel like that's a world that I haven't really tapped into yet that I think would also do pretty well.
So same conversation. Get started with your Etsy. No.
I've started it all before. In 21, I had an Etsy for an online market that I was a part of. I don't know what happened to that, honestly. And then I had a website in addition to that where I just got really impatient figuring out the tweaks. I couldn't sell to people out of state, and then I just was like, all right, whatever, I'll go do markets, and kind of gave up on that. But I do want to get back into a website, and I do, in addition to education, kind of want like a blog situation where it's just another resource for people.
Yeah. For like we kind of have the opposite effect of Christy's been selling on Etsy since 2013.
That was a good time to be selling.
2009. Like
I don't remember honestly,
but has multiple stores.
like somewhere around there. I've had like multiple Etsy shops, like 4 or 5.
So when we made the decision to kind of like, hey, Christy, you're going full time with what we're doing here. I'll continue doing this as part time kind of thing till we figure it out. And it was okay. You can handle all the Etsy stuff for us and get that all taken care of. But it has been a nice thing where we're like, hey, we've got these other ideas that maybe don't work at shows for us as much. And they've been really great for the Etsy market because like, I don't know how many cosplay commissions
a lot of the
you get.
Cosplay, like commissions, accessories, like all that stuff works really well on Etsy because that's where people go. It's like, oh, I'm going to a Ren fair and I need like an accessory, or I need this piece, or I need that piece. It's like,
do you feel like you get mostly like out of state?
It's a good mix.
Wow.
Lately I've been getting a lot of Utah sales, which is interesting. I'm not sure why, like just recently it's been a lot of people like locally, but it's awesome. Thanks guys if you're listening. Anybody, I don't know.
So do you mostly do Etsy or do you also sell from a website?
Etsy.
Our website link is directly to our Etsy. Okay. So why we do that is because it makes it an easier place for us to just kind of keep everything one direction, where we're not trying to use a third party like Shopify or any of these other places. It's like, I get it, for some people fees are not always a thing that they want to deal with and stuff,
but honestly, like Etsy, we get so much traffic
Not
from
sponsored,
Etsy.
not
Yeah, no,
sponsored.
exactly. From Etsy directly. It's like we don't have to like try and drive traffic
Yeah.
to a website or like, you know, generate our own sales.
We don't have time to do
Yeah.
the
No.
marketing and trafficking of stuff like
but
that.
like Etsy, I don't know if I've just hit the lucky like niches or what, but I've always been lucky, I guess, at like just getting a lot of sales generated through Etsy traffic directly.
I think I'm drawn to a website because there's just so much more I want to be able to add to
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Like I want it to be super duper personalized and have, like I said, like a newsletter and a gallery. And like because I've covered so many different mediums, like there's so much that I want to share that I think a website would be good. But at the same time, I also don't want to do marketing and draw in all of those people and build it up so individually. Like that's just so overwhelming to me.
It's a lot, and the past, what we were talking 15 years of like what we've done and everything, I've dealt with websites, I've dealt with all, and the thing that I keep going back to now is like how easy I can just plug things in
Mhm.
and forget about it.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, okay, it might not be the perfect solution for everybody, and that's okay, but because of everything else we're doing, it's like, hey, here's this, we could always do better. But also I'm like, hey, I kind of like the flow we've got with everything that, and like I'm not trying to be the next big thing out there
Mhm.
on YouTube or whatever. I just want to be me.
Mhm.
And so that's where we kind of like, hey, I'm okay with being in this lane. I don't need the fast lane. I'm a little quicker than the slow lane, but I think we're like cruising at the speed we want to move at, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to find that. Like it's not,
Mhm.
there's not a perfect solution for anybody out there. You've got to find your little like rhythm of what makes that all work for you. We are coming close on time. I want to make sure we capture everything for you guys. Where can they find information about where you guys are doing? Oh, before we even get to that, hold on. Other question. The thing we always like to ask about what if you guys have a piece of advice that might be helping someone that's on the edge of getting started, edge of maybe becoming the artist or getting to a show. If you guys have a piece of advice that might help push someone over that, like tip them over, tipping point or whatever. I keep losing words here, but if you got any
Words are
piece of
hard.
advice, words are
Words are
hard
hard.
sometimes. Yeah.
That's
Having a
why I'm an
Caitlin.
artist. I just work visually. I don't need the words for it. Just look at my nice picture.
That's hard.
Was there a piece of advice that was told to you guys as you were getting started?
I actually, I didn't feel like I had a lot of support in that. Like my friends in high school, I remember very specifically that I went out of state to college and I had said I wanted to be a studio art major, and someone's dad was like, "You're never gonna make it," you know, just like not. I didn't feel like I had a lot of support in that, so that was kind of hard. But I think one thing that create the things that are meaningful to you, and like the pieces that you sold or that Shelby sold, somebody will also find that meaningful. And then like you had a success because you touched somebody with something that was important to you, and now that's going to be important to them probably forever, and they'll just really love it. I love being at those shows, and I had some vintage Polaroids. I don't know if you saw those at all while you were there.
I've seen it. Yeah.
They were from the 80s.
Yeah.
And somebody came right up to it. She was like, "Oh, that looks like this place that my grandma liked at Yellowstone." She turned it over. Sure enough, it was the same place. Her grandma had just passed away.
Oh,
like
man.
she just had a connection with this thing, and it was really just her. Yeah, it just was really amazing and fun. So I enjoy those experiences. But I think do the things that are meaningful to you. And you know, if you build it, they will come.
Best movie ever, right?
I would say like my advice is a similar along the lines of that. Just don't create for other people. Do it for you. You don't have to be mainstream. You don't have to use those. I think especially when it comes to social media, like I literally never once have I used trending audio or like this is the length you have to use or the layout or the comments or the hashtags or hashtags are out now. And like I just never once did I do that. And I think that you don't have to confine yourself in that mold of mainstream because it's just a silly place to be, and it's tiring and it's exhausting, and then you're not you and you're not creating you. And when you make the things that are true to you, someone else will come along and that will work for them as well. So
I also think, like, give yourself grace.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
You
That's,
know,
that's
like,
solid.
you're doing the best job that you can do right now, and that's enough.
Yeah. You can only start at the bottom and it goes from there, kind of thing. Like you will always be at the worst when you start to like, and it never gets, it will always get better if you continue down that line.
And everybody, it can be intimidating to see these people like now. So Shelby's kind of at the beginning. You guys have been doing it for whatever, 15 plus years.
Well,
but you were here
side,
once.
we've only been about the same amount as you guys, really. That's kind of, we're in the same boat. Like our videos production and creative side and everything, we've been doing that. But like trying this whole market thing and actually putting ourselves in that position, we're about started right around the same time you guys did.
So even if people who are you look at someone, they're like, oh, they're so good, they've been doing it for so long. But here's the thing, they were a beginner at some point as well.
It's like never compare your middle to someone else's end, right? Yeah. Awesome.
That's that was the question. I was like, wait, we forgot that question. Now I'm glad we got that in because very helpful advice, very great words of wisdom there. But I do want to make sure now that we are up on time, is there a place they can find more information about what you guys are doing, follow what you guys are doing, and see what the future holds for you guys?
I am not on social media at all.
I know that. I when I first tried to find you, I'm like, oh, I wonder if she's at DIY Fest this year. I'm like, I don't know her social
I do.
handle.
So I have I have all the Etsy names and emails and the Instagram names and everything, but there's nothing there.
But
It's all just laying dormant for now.
Just my Instagram for now.
What is that Instagram?
Shelby Artifacts.
So, but if you guys want more information, go to Craft Lake City's DIY Fest and look at the exhibitor listing. You will find Art de Vida. Is that okay? I'm saying that right. That is how you are going to find Courtney's stuff and collections and everything like that. Go ahead and find Shelby as well. Shelby Artifacts. Wow, words are hard today, guys. But you can see that, and then
make sure you come out to DIY Fest this year.
Yeah, again, not sponsored, not anything in that sense, but we will all be there. We will all have our booth and checking out all the cool stuff and all the other cool artists that we have on the show as well. There's a lot of artists we've had on here that will be at this year's event as well. But thank you guys so much for coming down.
Thanks for having us.
My sister will also be at
Yes,
DIY
this is her
Fest
first year.
for the first year.
I was gonna ask about the sibling, but I was like, I don't know, maybe they don't do any.
Oh man, I guess we're gonna have you guys back on and have another conversation.
Affair.
Yeah, it's her first one.
Okay, quick question: what does she do?
She makes cards. She does
printmaking as
more
well.
paper.
So more
Puns.
paper.
She's really into puns.
She's a punny lady.
Okay, so your
puns.
paper influence really has come down the
It's
family
contagious.
tree. Yeah.
It's contagious. I think she also just likes the aspect of like connecting with people in that way, specifically cards, so that you can like write to your loved ones and your friends and stay connected in that sense.
Well, I look forward to seeing all her cool stuff as well as your guys' cool stuff. I hope, Courtney, we get to see some of your original pieces that you want.
Someday.
By this,
So much
you've got
pressure.
time. There's no pressure.
No
But
pressure.
maybe at least maybe a small thing. But next year you get a whole year for the next one, maybe. But thank you guys so much for being part of this show with us, joining us down in our basement and having an honest conversation about what you guys do.
us.
Yeah,
Thank
that was
you.
amazing. I wish it could go for 5 more hours.
I don't know if they want to hear me for 5 more hours.
I
You
don't.
guys, yeah. But thank you guys for joining us. If you guys know any local Salt Lake area, greater Salt Lake area artists that are interested in sharing their passion, please send them our way to tell them about us. Like, comment, subscribe. That helps support the show and everything we do here. We just want to hear you guys' fun, awesome, passionate stories about making, creating, and being awesome. We'll see you guys on the
Thank
next
you.
episode. Thank you guys.
Bye.